Welcome back to Raven Maven. Today, I'm super excited to have ex-hooper of the University of Minnesota Golden Gopher basketball team, photographer for D1 Circuit, and many other talents, Mr. Kendal Shell. So thank you for joining me today on Raven Maven. How are you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. This is going to be fun. So, Kendal, I stumbled upon, this is how I found everybody. I find everyone on Instagram or through like my connections and people that I know, some of the creatives I know, I grew up with or went to school with. So I want to kind of like just get into, before we get into the photography aspect, let's talk about, your days as a basketball player and then like how that turned into you like now shooting up and coming players in the D1 circuit and whatnot.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess I picked up my first basketball when I was 3 years old. Both of my brothers played basketball. My dad's refed for 40 years. So I've been in a basketball gym all my life. It's all I know. It's been everything for me. So when I came here to the University of Minnesota, it was huge for me just because Tubby Smith was the person who recruited me. And Tubby Smith is a very legendary Black coach in the basketball community. And as a young Black kid, like you look up to guys like that that have done that. John Thomas, guys like Thompson that have been around. And Tubby Smith's just one of those names. And so it was huge just to play for him. And then Coach Richard Pitino actually took over for him the last 2 years. So in the basketball community, the Tubby Smith name, the Rick Pitino name, they're really big. So it was cool just to have Pitino and Smith as two people that led me through that. I actually came to the University of Minnesota as a preferred walk-on. So most don't know that. It's not a scholarship player, but you're recruited the same way and you're brought in the same way. And what they'll do is they'll get all money together, whether it's academics or other scholarships you qualify for, with the intention of, hey, we want to bring you here. We don't have any scholarships open, but we have the intention to give you a scholarship. So that was actually a risk I kind of took coming to the University of Minnesota. But I really wanted to be a part of high-level Division I basketball, and most of my other offers and opportunities were either mid-major or lower than that. And at that time, I really had aspirations to potentially coach, just do a lot of things. So I wanted to be around the University of Minnesota. And they really sold me because it's the most Fortune 500 companies. Like, that's the big thing. And, I wanted to be around the scene and be a part of it. And it was great. Like, Big Ten basketball is just, it's unbelievable. The experiences, the things we got to do. I mean, some of the stuff, it happened so fast, you didn't even realize how much you were doing and how many places you were going, because it's all such business. That's kind of how they look at it at that time. But, looking back on it, it was unbelievable. There was a lot of great things that happened with it, and it was fun. I'm just happy just to be able to go back with all the experiences, the players, the people I've had, as well as just the new family and kind of foundation I've developed in Minnesota. Like you asked where I'm located, I'm living in downtown Minneapolis right now. So I got recruited in 2011 to come here. It's 2021. So
wow, never left.
I haven't left. So I'm not going to say I'm going to be here for another 10 years, but it just shows that you want to almost build something bigger than what you left there. And that's kind of what I found. There were so many people in the community I was able to connect with, and I just felt like God was calling me here just to make something happen. So during that time, we made the NCAA tournament. We won an NIT in New York City.
Awesome.
We did a lot of great things on the court. So it was a good time. I was really focused on the court as well as off the court. Did a lot of marketing, sport management stuff during that time. And I finished in 3 years, started my master's my senior year for sport management as well. So it was a busy, hectic time, but like I wouldn't trade any of it because I learned a lot about myself and just about who I am during that time.
So it sounds like I was going to ask you what were like, the biggest lessons that you learned or took away when you were playing ball. But I feel like overall your whole college ball experience, you learned a lot just listening to, when you got there, you learned a lot about business. And I think a lot of the time for me, because I'm not really a big basketball person, but I will say that with the paying attention to some of what goes on with college ball, it is a business also, and it's just interesting to see that you took that away and you just took advantage of all the opportunities that came your way. What is, I guess, the best thing or best advice you would give someone who is, I guess, looking to kind of take a similar route that you took with your college ball career?
Yeah, I mean, I would say make sure you love it. Like, I love basketball. I still love basketball. It, like I said, when I picked up the ball when I was 3, I mean, it's been everything to me. And if you want to go that route, you got to understand it's a business. You got to understand it's going to be 5 a.m. wake ups. You got to understand it's going to be 8, 9, 10 p.m. study halls. So you got to understand that. You got to understand, like, if you want to have a social life, you're going to have to figure that out. And so, like, if you don't love something, those times when you wake up, it's going to be real hard to wake up. So you really need to make sure you love it, 1. And 2, you know, it's important to find out who you are beyond basketball. Like, it's really important. And I was starting to find that out. You know, I had to go through things to figure it out. I'm still figuring that out. But most people who are in that situation that I was in, they think their purpose is basketball.
Right.
Like, when you get to college, you're expected to play at the highest level. You're expected to have a crazy training regimen. And this starts when you're super young. And you've got to understand that your purpose isn't in basketball. Basketball is just your platform. And so you need to figure out what your purpose is by using basketball instead. Right. And what I looked to find, and, you know, going to the University of Minnesota, I was able to see, wow, I love business. Like, how did that even happen? Like, but it happened, you know? And so just use basketball as a platform and don't lose yourself with it, because the problem is a lot of people who make it to my level, and especially guys who go professional ranks, they find their identity is stuck in basketball. And your identity cannot be stuck in basketball, because if your identity is stuck in basketball, it's going to affect your life. Like, there's times I found myself, the way I played on the court, it affected how I was off the court. You can't let that happen. You got to understand it's just a platform. You got to learn from what's going on that court, but you can't let it affect your everyday life. You can't let it affect the people around you. And if it is going bad, you can't find bad things to help solve those problems, right? That's the problem. And so you can't just leave your identity in basketball. You got to figure out what your identity is through using basketball as a platform.
Yeah, so it's like, kind of like you're more than, it's very similar to me, where it's like, you know, as a graphic designer, it's like, for a long time, I personally was just like, I'm a graphic designer, and like everything was based around that. And it was like, no, graphic design is what I do. So it's like, you know, basketball is something you do, and you might do it really well, but that's not all that makes you who you are, you know? So I really like how you really hit the nail on that, because I think that's what happens with a lot of people, and not just in like athletes, just like across the board. You know, a lot of people get stuck into whatever their craft or whatever they do, and they think that that is all that embodies what makes makes up their identity, you know? Mm-hmm. So when, as you know, speaking of that, so how did the transition into photography happen? Or like, when did you discover that you wanted to even focus on, you know, the D1 division, you know, taking shots and up and coming talent and whatnot?
Yeah, it was honestly a fluke type thing. So D1 circuit was really an outlet and a circuit where my girlfriend and her business partner did a lot of stats and highlights for the EYBL division, which is the top Nike circuit division.
Correct.
Just so happens, like, when I played in high school, I played a lot of tournaments actually through the EYBL division as well. So it kind of came full circle that route. But my intention actually was to go there and create brand awareness for an organization called Hoops and Christ, which is an organization, me and my buddy in Minneapolis, you know, we got together and really made that thing grow. So it's still going today, and it's a basketball training and mentorship organization. So I just went to these these EYBL tournaments and just in speaking with people and connecting with people, like, that was the goal. The goal was to talk to some of the athletes that we trained, you know, talk to them about how their games are going, things like that. And just so happens, actually, my girlfriend and her business partner, they were shorthanded. She was doing interviews at the time, man, photography. He's running around doing things. It was simple as she handed me the camera. I started taking pictures. I came back. They said, these aren't bad. And it just showed me again, it was the platform. Like, it reminded me, I like creative stuff as well. Like, I have a mind for creative. There's a reason I majored in marketing. There's a reason I want to do this stuff. At the time, on the side, I was doing a corporate sales job. So I wasn't even like tapping into my creative mindset at all. But again, basketball being a platform, I was able to get out there. I mean, I'm confident. Obviously, I played on these courts before, and it just was a whole new way to watch the game for me. I got to tap into my basketball mind as well as my creative mind at the same time. And I started finding myself knowing where players would be before they were there, just
Wow.
because I knew the game. So that's really how it started. And then after that, I started going on all the trips with them with the purpose of actually doing that, which was, I'm super blessed to have that opportunity. And honestly, it became a passion. It became a passion of mine.
Yeah. That's like really cool, actually. It's funny, like how things like you find your passion by accident sometimes, you know, and that's literally what just happened to you. And I think that's amazing. How long have you been shooting in that area?
I think that was like 2017-ish. So it hasn't been long. Like this.
But your work is amazing. You guys need to go follow because those photos is busting.
I've learned from some good people around me, and just, yeah, we're still learning. There's some great photographers in the world, though, I'm starting to learn and see every day. And there's a whole competitive nature now that comes out all of a sudden again. But yeah, I'm very fresh in the game, and I like to just bring a different dynamic.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, I like to just be around and see the new players and what's going on and talk hoops. And it's led to conversations of coaches calling me saying, hey, were you shooting at this game? Like, did you see this guy? And so that's been cool to see. And yeah, we'll see where it goes from that. But really for me, just give me around a basketball gym a lot of the time and I'll be happy.
Yeah. I want to talk about, hoops and beyond, which you mentioned earlier. Can you just talk about more what that is and like what you guys do, just to like tell the people?
Yes, for sure. So Hoops and Beyond is a basketball training and development platform.
Mm-hmm.
So the ultimate goal and mission of Hoops and Beyond is really to change the way we look at developing student athletes. Mm-hmm. We feel for a long time, my partner, Rayshawn Simmons, and myself, we grew up playing basketball together. We trained together. We're from St. Louis, Missouri, which is a big basketball town, very close-knit city. Shout out Bradley Beal, all-star starter now, actually. So it's a lot of good things going on in St. Louis. But the problem we both saw was a lot of good things don't make it out of St. Louis. Mm-hmm. How do we make that change and how do we make that happen? We came together amidst this pandemic and talked about it. Like I talked to you about before, I helped with someone starting Hoops in Christ, right, which is located in Minneapolis. So I had experience in figuring out how to put something together to develop athletes. And so we got together and say, let's change the way we look at developing athletes. And that means not just basketball training. And that's how it's been for so long. Like I talked to you, everyone's purpose has been in basketball and they can't find their identity in anything else. They're not prepared. It just doesn't happen. I played college basketball and you see it a lot. You see it a lot. That's why I'll leave it at. Guys just aren't prepared, and girls the same way. They aren't prepared. They're just prepared to go and defeat things on the court, but not on the court. So Hoops and Beyond altogether is financial literacy, mental health, physical health, job and career readiness, as well as basketball skills training. So we focus on all these different areas to develop athletes, and we host camps across the country to do this. So we're not the ones that get all these people together. Actually, we really want to emphasize that we're a platform. So we go to these cities and we work with the leaders in those cities. So the coaches and the mentors in those cities to show them what we're doing and give them the blueprint. And then they come be a part of our process in these different cities. So that's really the goal, because we know we can't impact everyone, but we can inspire other people to impact everyone else that they be around, and things can really happen. So it's really big for us, financial literacy and mental health, especially. are two things we really focus on. We're very clear about that as well, because those are two areas, not just in the basketball community, but being a Black male athlete myself, it is a very, very bad, I guess, the results, they're just not there. There's not where there's a need for it, and we're just not prepared. We're not prepared for those conversations about credit. We're not prepared for those conversations about our mental health and how we're feeling. We're always taught to be mentally tough. We're not always taught to be mentally healthy. We have all these programs, we all these schools, we have all these teams who pour tons and tons of money into your physical health, into your strength and conditioning, into your athletic training, but there's nothing put into your mental health and your mental training.
Wow.
When in reality, 50% of everything you're doing on the court is mental. So why are we not focusing on that training? So we really know that it's a long way to go to get to where we want to be, but we're just hoping that Hoops and Beyond can start to grow and grow and grow and bring more people a part of this mission, because we feel like as a whole, we'll see a lot more athletes that succeed, not just on the court, but really off the court, because that's what we're ignoring. There's so many that they don't, and they're struggling.
Right. That's really dope. Can you please just tell the people where they could learn more about Hoops and Beyond, and like if they want to support the platform? Because I like that is truly amazing, and I think it's, you know, that's just important in general, like in life. A lot of us are just not really prepared for what comes after we're focused in like a certain area that we excelled at, you know?
Exactly. Like, yeah, you can go to hoopsandbeyond.com. So hoops and beyond.com. You can drop in your email or drop anything and contact us through there. My contact information be on there as well. And, you know, we can have a conversation about anything you want to do, any type of support or things coming in your city, but as well as you'll just get updates on everything that we're doing. And you can also follow us on all the different social channels, Hoops and Beyond.
So I know you also wear the hat of brand management. So you're doing brand management at Player TV and Pro Class, correct?
Correct.
So what does that role, because like for me, I'm a brand designer and I really work on creating brand identities. So I was just curious for you, like you're on the other end of it, you know, where it's more, I feel like when I think about brand management, I'm thinking about sometimes you're not only concerned about how the brand is being represented or how it sounds and making sure that it's always in alignment with what that, you know, tone and voice is, but like in your day-to-day, what does your role look like?
Yeah, so with that, so Players TV first is the only athlete-owned TV network.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it is.
Hence Players TV.
It was actually started amidst the pandemic. It was launched in the pandemic, and it's just a place for fans to go see athlete content. It's the only place that's dedicated solely to athlete content. And this is content that's made by the athletes, that's curated by the athletes, that we work together with the athletes to push out, because what we found is the public, they love the players on the court, but they actually really love them off the court.
Off the court too?
You know, there's a reason why social media is big and why all these players have such followings. There's a reason why TikToks are so big and they have such big followings, right? So off the court is really big. And so for me, being a brand and marketing manager, you know, in the TV network industry, you got to think about your different platforms you're on, like your Samsungs, like your Rokus, like, you know, that's how it works, right? Like you watch TV networks on devices.
Streaming, yeah.
You know, the streaming age is huge. The cutting the cord age is huge. And so for me, like you said, just making sure the brand is in a position that portrays what our mission is across all those different platforms, right? Ensuring that it's there and that people see what we promised those athletes who invested in us, what we want them to see, and they're getting portrayed the right way. And so, you know, for me, it's big because I'm so enthralled in the whole marketing and branding process, but it's very big that I'm also at that area in my life where I can really connect with these athletes. And so I understand what they're looking to put out there and what they want to be seen as. And so that's kind of where I'm at with things right now. I've been with Players TV for just over 2 months now. So
Oh,
we're
wow.
very early. Like it's very early for me, but it's been fun just to, create a new environment. We're a small, nimble TV network, but we're definitely making things happen. A lot of big time investors that have put a lot of faith in us. Our latest investor has been Damian Lillard, but we started with like Chris Paul, Carmelo Anthony, and some of those guys early on. And
Wow.
so, going forward, that's a huge play. So Players TV as well as Pro Class is our athlete training vertical.
Okay.
It's a app essentially. So all these pros that we have with our TV network, they're offering different classes for people around that are looking just to expand their game, not just basketball, baseball, football, all the different athletes that we work with, just giving them a platform again to show the fans kind of how they train, right? So another layer of access into these athletes' lives.
And that's really interesting that there is an audience that they're so invested into the upcoming talent and these athletes that they want to know like what their day-to-day is like and how they train and what are they eating. Like that's really cool to know that that's how invested people are, how big a fan of the sport and these individuals,
Exactly. No, yeah, it's the athlete content era, I think, is here to stay for a long time, and it's changing a lot. It's huge. I think that's just content in general, though, across the board.
Yeah, totally. So with the photography aspect of things, how does I feel like I wanted to know, is there a connection or like does your work help with the scouting process in any way? Do you feel like photographers like you can contribute to that process?
Yeah, I think we can actually. I think I would hope there's more former basketball players that pick up a camera. I think photography for athletes actually is seen as like I don't know, not a weird thing, but it's like we're so used to performing on the court,
Right.
So when you see the photographers over there, like that's their thing, that's their world. But I think a lot of guys would actually really enjoy it. Like I think they would really enjoy it. And scouts, the scouting world is very interesting. There's scouts everywhere. Like people just don't realize it. Like there's college scouts, there's pro scouts, there's overseas scouts, there's pro scouts that live overseas, there's overseas scouts that live here. They're everywhere. It's like the scout network's crazy. And yeah, through just my short time, yeah, it is. It really is. It really is. And just during my short time in a lot of those tournaments, I was able to connect with old coaches. Like the basketball community is very small. So like my coaches turned into scouts actually. So they were at the tournaments. And obviously they know what my basketball IQ is. So yeah, they would give me a call. Hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? So I actually think there is room and potential for, the photographer type scout role maybe to potentially come into play, and that would be cool. And who knows? I mean, that's probably something I will look to potentially make happen.
Hey.
I think it is. I think it is an opportunity there.
Yeah. So we're getting down to the wire here with the questions, but I know you've launched a lot of like really interesting, cool things in the past couple months during the pandemic, which my friends and I, we always talk about, when there are troubling times or when you're faced with challenges, is about like what you do with it, right? So I just want to give you a shout out for, taking you and your partner and everybody just taking this time and looking at what's going on and just saying, okay, there's a need here. Let me, put this out here. That's important and we need that. But where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years?
Still working to seek out my true purpose. I think I'm on the way there, but just still on that path and on that marathon to get there. That's big for me, as well as just, I don't know, all I see is just me enjoying myself and just at peace. That's, if there's one thing I found this past year, you can only control your own emotions and just how you feel about every day. And in 3 to 5 years, like I hope that's how I feel. I really don't know specifically what I'll be doing, but I hope that's how I feel. In 3 to 5 years, I do hope, things like Hoops and Beyond are impacting the entire world. And I hope I'm just on my next journey, just inspiring people, really. I'm not sure, where that may be. I'm hoping it's somewhere a little warmer than negative 20 degrees right now in Minneapolis, but
Me too.
we'll see. But, in the next 3 to 5 years, just spreading the impact and just, building a family of people around the world just to keep spreading positivity, really. That's really my goal at this point, and just staying at peace with myself.
Yeah, that's important. I think, and thanks for sharing that, especially the staying at peace with yourself, because a lot of time, as if you're a creative or if you're a competitive person, we always like, pushing ourselves, or like, what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing? And then like sometimes like it doesn't have to be the next big thing, like you might discover like even the thing you're doing now, like, this might need to end now. Like this had its time, So like you said, for other people who's watching right now, it's also just very important to, be in tune with yourself and listen to yourself and, just do the things that make you happy and, pursue those things and don't, put yourself in this forced competition all the time, because you don't have to live your life that way,
Yeah, no, I completely agree. My biggest mentor that I've never met, rest in peace, is Kobe Bryant. And he said, it's the journey. Like that's what you have to enjoy. And for me, like you said, you feel like you're always going after the next thing. Like,
yeah.
I won't get it twisted. Like I go hard. Like I like to go hard, and I like to be competitive with myself. But like Kobe said, it's not about being competitive to get to a goal or get to a destination. It's about everything you're doing in the middle.
Right.
And so you can find something you love, and then you just grind at it. You're loving everything in the middle. So once you get to the end, you're actually mad that it's over. So that's what you really got to look at it as. It's like you got to go hard at it, but you've got to enjoy it. And you can't look to just always finish something or win something. Like that's not it. That's not the goal. That's not what you're trying to do. You just got to enjoy that entire process and know what's going on, and just be at peace, knowing that you're giving it your all, and the next day is going to come.
Right. And also for me, like just making sure that, that you made some type of difference in someone's life, or like whatever you put out there, that it had like some type of positive impact or inspired someone. Because it always brings me so much joy when I do interviews with like individuals like yourself or other creatives or just fantastic Black people. It's like awesome when I hear those comments like, oh, that interview was like awesome, and that person's wisdom like inspired me and motivated me to do something I've been thinking of doing, like that's what it's all about here at Raven Maven. So as my closing question, I wanted to ask, and this is just to wrap things up, what would be like your best advice for professional athletes who might be interested in getting into a creative field like you did, or just staying creative in general? Because I feel like, as a person, you might have a skill set, but humans are complex, right? And we're multifaceted. So I look at you and what you did and where your life and your journey is. What would be advice for other people who might be similar to you,
Yeah, I think those younger than me that aren't at the professional ranks yet, I think it's important to go back to that identity piece and like don't lose it in basketball. Like try other things. I was in marching band until senior year of high school. Wind symphony and jazz band. So I got slack for that. Like
really?
All my teammates play football, but I'm playing trumpet and drumline during halftime. And so, it's one of those things where like, you also gotta be like, yo, I'm gonna do what I want to do. Like at some point, I just don't care. Like my parents kind of instilled that in me. Like it doesn't matter what they're really saying. Like right, every parent says that, but you gotta really feel that. You gotta really go through that, and like you gotta just go out there. Like if I like something, I'm gonna do this. Because if you don't try, you don't know what you don't know. So people younger like don't think it's only cool just to play sports, because it's not. Like look at what LeBron's doing. Like that's the only thing you have to really see. Like this man's directing movies. He's doing a lot of things. And so if you don't try things when you're young, especially you don't have responsibilities, then you have no chance at doing it when you get older, when you're in college, when you're really busy. Like, it's hard to even find those things. So you need to find those interests early on. And then for people that's in college or even professional athletes, when you start to get busier, I think that's when you need to really find a level of humility and just go back to square one. Like, you're not going to be great at this. You're not going to be a pro at this, but you're going to need to figure out something else, because you're just going to need a mental break. And hopefully athletes, when they get to professional ranks, they understand the ball is going to stop bouncing. But they've got to like get an action plan out there, right? They just got to go and ask questions. That's the biggest thing that I would leave it at for everybody, professionals, younger, no matter what. Like, you've got to ask questions. Like, that's something I'm asking myself to do more and more every day.
Right.
So the ego mind is like, you want to know everything you know, but you don't at all. And so for me, if I didn't ask my girlfriend those questions when I picked up that camera, like, I wouldn't have been able to figure it out. And it took a lot out of me to even just ask those questions. But when I started doing it, I realized, oh, I actually like this. I'm actually enjoying this. So you just got to ask questions and just be curious. Like, just be curious about whatever you're doing, like whatever you're around. When I was in college playing for Minnesota, the social media people, like, this is when Twitter was early, all the stuff, like, they're walking around taking all these pictures. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, can I get it? Right? That started our social media takeovers for Go for Sports. No one ever did that with Go for Sports before I did that. I just like, yo, can I take this camera? Can we do these? We went to the NIT and we had a full Gopher takeover in New York. Wow. And just that thing was just like, wow, like, this social media thing is cool. Like, I don't know what they do, but one day I feel like I want to be a part of this type of stuff. I like the whole creative, the marketing side of things. So it's just like, be curious. Like, don't be too afraid to try new things, and don't care what others are thinking about you if you are trying them.
That is that's some solid wisdom and gems right there, guys. So I hope that you really suck that up and take Kendal's advice. So Kendal, where can the people follow you and connect with you on social media or online? Please.
Yeah, for sure. Well, social media, on Instagram, you can find me Kendal Shell _ and then Ken Shell Photo is my photography account on Instagram. On Twitter, you can find me as @Shell _Ken, and it's Shell like the gas station, SHELL. You can find me, pretty much on all the different social platforms. If you want to bother, follow me on TikTok. I won't be posting anything, but you can jump on there. LinkedIn is probably my favorite platform, to be honest. So if you're on LinkedIn, please jump on there, message me, let's interact on there. But yeah, Hoops and Beyond, you can go to hoops&beyond.com, and that's really, that's it. But you can connect with me. I'm always accessible. I'm always willing to talk to people. I love getting, into just strategy meetings, brainstorming, who knows? I just like collabing. I firmly believe it's a strength in numbers whenever you do. So I just like being around people.
Yes, me too. And, again, thank you again for the opportunity and for coming on Raven Maven. It truly means a lot to me. I wasn't even sure you could be like, yeah, sure. But I'm so glad that you did it. This is great.
Definitely. No, yeah, I appreciate your time. I like what you're doing. I understand the mission. I see it. I think we need to keep elevating just more Black creatives and excellence around. So, I enjoy it. Thankful for your time. It's always good to jump on a show where it doesn't feel like it's pulling teeth having a conversation. You know how it is. So I really enjoy and appreciate your time. It's been fun.
Thank you so much. So thank you guys for joining me for another episode of Raven Maven. Please make sure that you like, share, and subscribe on ravenmavenshow.com and across our social media channels. Until next time, stay Blacker than ever.